Hi, welcome to A Chef Called Rhonda. I'm Rhonda and this is my kitchen. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make eggplant parmigiana, or eggplant parmesan as we say here in the States. Eggplant parmesan is a very rich and nutritious baked dish made with eggplant, cheeses, Italian gravy, and basil. These are classic ingredients of this Neapolitan recipe. The recipe is loved and known throughout Italy from north to south, and it has become one of the symbols and staples of Italian cuisine throughout the world. To teach you how to identify the sex of the eggplant. Now, my grandfather taught me this. Not my grandmother, my grandfather Joe, or Giuseppe. He taught me this. When marketing for eggplant, you can identify a male versus the female by the bottom of the eggplants. The female, and it will look like a little tiny slit. Can you see that? Can you see that? She's a female eggplant. Now, female eggplants will render more seeds throughout the fruit. The male eggplant, and I'll bring it up close, he can be identified by the circular nub at the bottom of the fruit. So this is a male eggplant. Now, the male eggplant tends to be sweeter and with less seeds. The female will have more seeds and tend to be slightly bitter. My tip to you, when I'm marketing for eggplant and planning to make eggplant parmesan, I generally choose a boy and a girl. Different regions of Italy, they'll have slightly different variations on how to make eggplant parmesan. My people are from the south, Naples, or the island of Ischia. That's in the Bay of Naples in Italy. And we utilize the white flour, very, very simple batter. So each family has a different tradition. Stay with me while I show you each and every step that my grandparents taught me on how to make this Neapolitan classic, eggplant parmesan. And before we begin our recipe, I wanted to say hi to all my subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. I love your emails, all your comments, wonderful. Thank you so much. And if you haven't already done so, please would you consider subscribing to A Chef Called Rhonda? It's always healthy, always delicious, and always fun. So be certain to hit that like button. Be certain to subscribe to A Chef Called Rhonda. Go grab your trusty wooden spoon and stay with me while we cook eggplant parmesan all together in the kitchen. I will have this recipe in full scrolling at the very end of this cooking show. Enjoy! Okay, the first step in the process to making our eggplant parmigiana is to remove the tops of each eggplant. Take about an inch from the bottom as well. So we will take the top off and discard, and we will remove about an inch and a half from the bottom. Okay, next step in our process is to begin to slice each eggplant. I typically slice the eggplant between 3/4 of an inch to an inch. I like a nice thick slice of eggplant. As well, duly noted, I do keep the skin on the eggplants. I believe that it offers that extra punch of fiber as well of elegance when you go to plate it. So we slice each eggplant, and so take a look at this eggplant here. This is the male eggplant. see that there are virtually no seeds right there in that slice. And when I pick up this, the female, she has so many seeds. Again, when I do make this dish, I do choose a boy and a girl, just for the varying texture. But that said, the male is sweeter and has less seeds, so the option is yours, so long as you know how to identify the gender. Okay, our eggplant is all sliced. Now it's time to bathe our eggplant. Duly noted, I have a pitcher full of tepid tap water, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of good quality sea salt to a halfway filled large bowl, and I'm going to start to add my eggplant slices. It's important to note here that your eggplant will need to soak for about 30 minutes covered on your sideboard. Just allow it to sit and soak in that salted water. It offers a tenderness to the eggplant prior to cooking. Once I've placed all the slices in the bath and they're soaking and sufficiently, each slice has been covered entirely with the salted water, I will then take a stock pot cover and cover the eggplant and allow it to sit on the counter for about 30-35 minutes. Meanwhile, while the eggplant slices are soaking in their salted water bath, I will begin to make the batter. The batter is very simple, very easy to make. I take about 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose white flour. I run it through a traditional sifter. I do add about 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of a good quality sea salt right into the flour. And I will begin to sift away any lumps and just make it really smooth. And that's the beginnings of our batter. Okay, our flour is sufficiently sifted, and now it's time to add 3 eggs. Room temperature eggs, 1 at a time, and we will utilize a wire whisk, and we'll go in and we will pop each yolk individually, and we'll begin to whisk the 3 room temperature eggs. I'll add about a teaspoon of good quality sea salt, and I'll whisk that until it becomes nice and loose and creamy, and that'll take about a minute or so. Give extra and special attention to this process, both sifting the flour as well as whisking the egg, because it'll make that nice, soft, supple batter. As you can see, next we have our preparation area. I have about 2 cups of vegetable oil, good quality vegetable oil. Yes, you can use canola oil. Do not use olive oil, so it's either vegetable or canola. Okay, it's now time to check on our eggplant slices. It's been about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. They had sufficient amount of time to soak. Let's look at this water. Let's press down, and you can see that the water has become cloudy and dirty, if you will. And that's a good thing, because that's what you want. You want the sea salt to do its job and kind of pull away any bitterness from both eggplants therein. So we're going to drain away the water using our trusty colander. And I have already lined a baking dish or a cookie sheet with a moppino, also known as a dry, clean kitchen towel. And I'm going to gently place my eggplant slices on that baking sheet, one by one. And they are still wet, and that's okay, but they should have space on the baking sheet there. You can see how nicely spaced and even they are. As I lay them down, I'm going to lay them out sufficiently across the baking sheet, and then I am going to take another moppina, which again is that nice clean kitchen tea towel, and I'm going to lay it across the top of the eggplant slices. And the reason for this is I want to come in and I want to press out any remaining water out of the eggplant. Now think about the eggplant as being sponge-like, and it just sucks up all that water. Well, I want to take away that water so that when we go in to fry the eggplant, we don't get spatter. Press out the water on the first side, and now you can see I'm flipping the slices and I'm going in and repeating this same method. Okay, so now we are ready to begin our cooking of the eggplant, also known as frying our eggplant. So first and foremost, we go in, and the first step is flour to coat. So flour to coat the eggplant slice first, and then we go in and we dip the eggplant slice into the eggs and we flip it. So we allow only one time. So we coat with the flour once, as you see here, and we shake any remaining flour from the eggplant slice prior to dipping it into the egg mixture. And we flip that slice over one time. We allow it to drip. We continue with this process until all eggplant slices are sufficiently coated with the flour and the egg. Now that your slices are all sufficiently coated, the oil is nice and hot, it's time to add our eggplant slices to the hot oil and wait until one side becomes golden brown, and that should take about a minute or so. Once you've noticed that the first side is golden brown, it's time to flip the eggplant slices. I traditionally use about 4 slices to my pan. Overcrowding would not be suggested here, as you may have oil spatter. It's time to flip, and you can see that golden brown, crusty, beautiful light batter. And duly noted, I have a mappina, a kitchen mappina, on my right-hand side, and I'm going to layer each piece of eggplant onto the mappina so the excess oil can drip away and soak into the mappina. This process will take about 20 minutes to 25 minutes until all our eggplant slices are sufficiently golden brown. The hard part is over. Now it's time to utilize last Sunday's gravy as the basis for our eggplant parmigiana, also known as Parmigiana di melanzane. Okay, so first off, we have our ingredients to complete the assembly and this operation of eggplant parmesan. We have Italian gravy, which will be used at the base of our 3-inch in-depth baking dish. I have Parmesan Reggiano, which I'll grate over each layer, and I will finish it with mozzarella, or also known as mozzarella. Okay, so first, the layering process. We want to ladle about 2 spoonfuls, using our trusty wooden spoon here, of Italian gravy at the base of our baking dish. And you just want to smooth the gravy out corner to corner. Not too much gravy because you don't want it to become soupy, but not too few gravy either, because you don't want it to be dry. Remove any chunks of garlic and discard. So after we've ladled the bottom of the dish, we will add our eggplant, as you see here. So this baking dish will require about 4 slices per layer, and I'm just going to sit them next to each other, one by one. And you can see how nice and thick they are. Remember, we kept them about 1 inch wide with the skin on. And now it's time, I'll put one in the middle for good luck there, and now it's time to grate some Parmesan Reggiano, not too much, not heavy-handed at all, because you don't want to disguise the actual flavor of the vegetable. And once we do the Reggiano and we grate that Reggiano, we're just going to ladle a tad more of the Italian gravy right across the top, corner to corner, nice and easy, using the back side of that trusty wooden spoon. There we are. You can see that? See how it's really coming to life, and the color that the skin from the eggplant offers the dish. It really offers that nice presentation. And now it's time to add the mozzarella or mozzarella. And just a little bit right on top, and we'll do it all again. We'll repeat this process until there's no more. And as we go through the layering process, you'll note that I now use the back edge of the spoon and my hands to gently press the ingredients together. And that just aids a bit when we go in to bake the eggplant parmesan covered in the oven. And I do have my oven preheated at 375 degrees. And we will bake it for about 40 minutes. The last 5 to 7 minutes will be baked uncovered, and then I will allow it to sit on the counter for 10 to 12 minutes before cutting through the eggplant parmesan. And my final step here is to add that fresh basil. As you can see, it gives a nice pop of color, but also that great aroma as it bakes through. I wanted to share with you a family tradition that my grandmother taught me. She would reserve about 8 to 10 slices of fried eggplant off to the side, and at the end of the recipe she would dollop onto those slices just a little tiny bit of white granulated sugar, and then she would present that on the family table as an option. And traditionally each one of her grandchildren would run and grab a slice. Nothing like that taste of sweet eggplant with just that little hint of white granulated sugar. Please enjoy this recipe. Stay with me as we cover the eggplant and we come back into the kitchen for that big, bold taste test. And if you haven't subscribed to a chef called Rhonda, please would you consider doing so? Whew, that was a long recipe, wasn't it? We just removed our eggplant parmesan from our 365 degree oven, and I kept it in the oven covered for the first 40 minutes. I removed the tin foil and I let it cook uncovered for the remaining 5 minutes. As we take our foil off, I'm going to bring it up nice and close. It's still very, very warm, still very warm. And I utilized that 3-inch baking dish, and I showed you how to layer the eggplant. But that's what it looks like, and take that wonderful taste test. But before that, I want to share with you a very special technique or a little treat that my grandmother would do. On Sundays, she would have all her children and their children over and around a big table, and there would be about 12 of us, aunts, uncles, cousins, and so on. And we'd get there about 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and she would be in the kitchen getting everything ready. But she would reserve a number of eggplants. If she had 10 people, she would save 10 pieces. For sake of time here, I've reserved 1 piece for my family. She would sprinkle the final pieces, she'd let them cool, and offer a plate with just a tad of sugar. And that was for good luck. And there's what she would do. She would put just a sprinkling of sugar on a plain piece of the fried eggplant. And she would then offer that in addition to the traditional eggplant parmigiana. So that's what we had to look forward to. But the sprinkling of sugar really, really is something extra and special. So if you haven't tried that, it's the same exact recipe, but bypassing all of the Parmesan, all of the gravy, all of the cheeses. And once you fry it and drain the oil, then plate them, and then just sprinkle a teeny tiny bit of white granulated sugar across the top and serve it just like that. You will certainly receive numerous compliments at your table. It is a treat to be had. I'm just going to use my kitchen knife here, and what I do is I just, as if you're cutting lasagna almost, you want to just cut through and just make maybe a 3 by 3 inch square into it. So there we have, I brought this up close for you to see, and now it's time for that moment of truth. Let's taste that eggplant and see. Let's get every bit, a little bit of tomato, a little bit of the mozzarella, a little bit of the mozzarella, the pomodorini, and the melanzane. What does that mean? Eggplant parmesan. Oh, so old world. The taste of the eggplant coupled with the tomato and the basil and just that hint of Parmigiana Reggiano. It's so thick and so nutritious at the same time. I wanted to take a moment and say many, many, many thanks for watching today's recipe, eggplant parmesan. If you haven't subscribed to A Chef Called Rhonda, please would you consider doing so? It's always healthy, always delicious, and always fun. From my kitchen to yours, Chindan. Salute. Perfecto. Mangia.